Hey guys, my name is Mac, and in this episode of WeBlocks Academy, we are going to create multi-step form in Webflow. So first, let's see how it works. We have the first question, how many pages your project will have, and it's just the example. So I will choose, for example, 6 to 10, and right now this button is blue. If I will click it, you see that it's gray, so I cannot click in this button. But if I will choose the animations, for example basic, then it's blue and I can go to the next question. Right now we need to choose the services. It's development only or development and design. And this part is very interesting. If I will choose development only and I go to the next question, we can see list of custom functionalities. But let's go back for a moment and choose development and design. And right now, when I click next, we can see other question for the branding strategy. So you can see that this way we are somehow manipulating these questions, and we can add some kind of a logic to this multi-step form. So let's go next. Right now we have two inputs where I can type my name, my email, and clicking next, my company. It's WeBlocks. And next, okay, and we have the summary. And this project is designed in Webflow, and the logic of the form is created in WeBlocks. WeBlocks is a tool where we can create a code with blocks. And in this example, the first thing which we need to do to connect WeBlocks with Webflow is to use a button in the form section in a multi-step. And this is the button which is responsible for the connection. We need to set here what is the next button, preview button. So first let's see. The next button has the attribute block next question. And this way we will connect this button with WeBlocks. We can also use not only attribute block, but we can also use class, ID, or tag. But in this example, block will be the best because we can find only this one button with the block, with attribute block preview question. But we can see a lot of button with class, for example, button. So for the buttons is very good way to connect it with the block attribute. The next thing is active class. I will copy this class and I will show you what will happen if I will add an active class to this button. It is going to be blue. So I've added to this combo class a background color blue, and for this button on active, it has color of the font blue and border color blue. So this is about this active class, and start with the tab. And every tab has a name in a Webflow because this project is created with tabs. We have tab pages, animations, services, custom functionalities, and this way in a WeBlocks we can jump between these tabs. First tab has the name pages. So we will change this variable because we are using variables to connect WeBlocks with Webflow tabs, and the first is pages. The next tab has a name animations. So to connect it with Webflow, with WeBlocks, we need to create a new variable, animations, and right now I can use the first block from forms, which is the most using blocks from forms, and I can say that if input pages, why input pages? Because inside of the tab pages, I have a radio input with a name pages. And right now I'm saying that if this input pages is going to change, I want to set next tab into the animations. And let's see what will happen if I will connect. First thing, I go into settings in a WeBlocks. I copy this script. If I'm on a light or a pro mode, if I'm on a free, you need to copy and paste this code to the Webflow. If I'm on a light mode, I can just copy and paste the script and it will connect automatically. So right now I'm connecting this project with a fresh WeBlocks project, and when I refresh, it should work this way. If I will click on it, you can see that the next button is blue and I can click on it, but after that nothing happens here because we didn't set it up in a WeBlocks. We can only click preview and then we go back here, but that's all. We need to set in WeBlocks what are the next steps for our form. And the next step is services. This is the next tab. So we need to add as a variable tab services. And right now I can say that if input animations, and that's because inside of the animations tab we have input with the name animations. If this input animations will change, we want to set next tab for services. And exactly the same, if input on change services will change, we want to set next tab, which is custom functionalities. Create new variable, custom functionalities, and let's set it here. Okay, let's test it. So next, I can click next, I can click next, and right now we are stopped. And that's because I want to show you something different here. We have a lot of inputs here, but I think that we should not require choosing them from user. We want to set automatically next button blue and active. So to do it, we can trigger not only input on change, but we can trigger on click. On click in this button. So it means that if we click in a button next, we want to set next tab, but it needs to happen only in one circumstances, and it's when active tab is custom functionalities. Only when we are on this page with the custom functionalities, we want to set the next tab on click in a button, and the next tab is client name. Okay, I'm adding variable client name and I'm adding it here. And about this name, client name, I'm choosing client name and not only the name. And that's important to remember in a WeBlocks, because if I would choose just name and I would use it in a WeBlocks, we have it as a variable name too. That's just because the WeBlocks is using the variable name somewhere different. So we can not use just the name. We have to write, for example, client name or service name or anything else, but we can not use just a name as a variable in WeBlocks. So let's go and let's check first if it works. So I go next, next, and right now it's automatically blue, so I can go to the next. And in this tab we have two inputs, so it will also work a little bit different. We have two inputs, and the first one has a name client name, and the next one has a name email. So I will copy it, I will create a new variable email, and right now I can also use input on change and input on change client name and input on change email. And if those input will change, we want to go to the company. Okay, company. I'm creating a new variable company, and if input will change, I want to go to the company. But if we will set it this way, it will set the tab company only if one input will change. But if we want to require from user choosing both inputs, we need to use a logic, and it will be if logic. If client name is different than null, it means that it's not empty, and I want to choose also a name end statement, and email is also not null, then set next tab company, and exactly the same here. Okay, so it means that if both statements are true, if it's not null, and if it's not null, then set next tab for the company. But those two are just triggers. So okay, when I choose 10 pages advanced development and design, this, and right now when I will type Mac and here I will type my email, I can go to the next step, which is company, and after company I have the last step, summary. Okay, let's add a summary. Okay, and if company will change, set next tab summary. And before we will test it, I want just to create a function. It's very important to use functions if we have code like that. In two places, we have exactly the same code. So we can put it just in a function, for example, multi-step check, name and email, and I can click write button and create the call for this function, and this way it's much easier to change in the future. Okay, so we have the summary, and let's just test if it works. Okay, and right now we are in a summary, and right now I would like to add some kind of a logic, because you can see that in this tab services we can choose development only and development and design. And if we will choose development and design, I would like to ask our user one more question about the branding. If he has a brand strategy, or maybe he don't have it and he needs it, it's very important for us to know it. But if someone is not choosing the design, we should not ask him about that. So to create it in WeBlocks, we can say that if input and change services in changing, we can use a logic if and say if services is equal to, and right now let's check what is the value of those inputs. This input services has a value 1, and this input has a value services 2. So if services is equal to 1, we want to set next tab custom functionalities, and let's add else. If services is equal to 2, I want to set next tab to branding. Okay, and to make it work, I need to set what will happen after branding. So I can add a next and the branding. And if branding is changing, I want to set next up to custom functionalities. So we'll go exactly the same way. So this way we are just adding one question if services is equal to 2. Okay, let's check if it works. Okay, so I'm choosing advanced, and right now when I will choose development only, we go to custom functionalities. But if I will choose development and design, we go to the brand strategy, and I can go next to the custom functionalities. Okay, and last thing which I would like to show you, which we can change in WeBlocks about the forms, is this kind of things. We have here a summary, but we have it centered, and we have multiplicated this preview button. So on the summary, we could hide this element. Okay, and to hide it, we just need to get the, for example, class of this, or we can connect it with the block attribute. In this example, let's do it with the block attribute, and I will trigger it exactly the same as I triggered this this block on click. So when we were triggering the this custom functionalities with list of inputs, we used on click. And in this example, to hide element, when we are in a tab summary, we will use also the on click block. So it's triggering the clicking in the next. It's checking if the active tab is then summary, and if it is, I want to use animation set display none into the block meeting summary. And when we are clicking in a previous question, we want to check if active tab is, in this example, it will be a company, but because company is just one step before summary, and then we want to set display flex. Okay, last thing which we need to test. Okay, we are closer to this. Next. Okay, perfect. It's hiding, and when I go back, it's back here. So it works. And actually there is one more thing which I would like to show you, and it's related to, I will just put it here to show you, because we have also a price here. And I did a budget calculator tutorial, and it's a great way to connect multi-step form with budget calculator. So, and we can do it very easily. We can go to the budget calculator project, which you can find on YouTube or on a WeBlocks page, and you can click just export blocks. And if you will export it, you will get the XML file. We can create in a WeBlocks a new project. I will call it calculation test. And right now I can just delete this test and drag and drop this import here. And here we have the calculate budget project. And we can use this function just clicking Command C and clicking Command B here. And we have the function for calculate budget. And right now we can also use it in all of our input on change triggers. So if we have a trigger input on change, we can trigger it also for our calculate budget. I can add it here. I can add it also here. And right now, when I will refresh the project, you can see that this price is changing. If you would like to learn more about it, I invite you to the budget calculator tutorial where I teach you step by step how to create calculations with the forms in WeBlocks. And in this project, we can connect those two tutorials and use multi-step and budget calculator. I hope you like it. I hope you will create your own multi-step forms with WeBlocks, where we can add a lot of logic, because this is just the beginning for the logic in the multi-step forms. You can add much more logic to your forms, and in the next tutorials we will go to the next steps which we can do with the forms. I hope you like it. If yes, you can hit the like button, you can subscribe this channel and just test WeBlocks. Thank you. See you soon.